Good morning, kids. Dad here. A little sweaty, so apologies for not wearing a shirt. Um, it's Saturday, April 11th, 2026. It's 7:56 here on the East Coast in Charleston, and I was able to start my day with a 4.1 mile run in under 40 minutes, which for me, your old man at age 44, I was moving. Felt good. Felt great. Felt great. So I've got to get cleaned up here. Then I got to go over to meet Josh for some coffee around 10 a.m. And then we got to be at the church at noon. And from there, it's going to be getting dressed, doing the wedding ceremony, reception afterwards, and probably some dancing going on, some music and celebration. And my heart's incredibly full. I wanted to share a little bit about Josh today, just so you guys can know who this Josh guy is. That means so much to your dad. Your dad came out to Charleston, South Carolina, where he'd never been before. I had a chance to meet Josh in, I want to say it's probably 2022, early 2023. It was 2023, and it was after your mother and I had separated. This was after I was no longer able to live at the family home with you guys. And your dad here was in a pretty dark place. I was depressed. I was drinking alcohol daily to try and cope with my emotions and feelings. I was very isolated, and it was just a very dark time. And I met a group called Warriors Next Adventure. And Warriors Next Adventure, they were the ones who, when I had nothing but a suitcase and a sleeping bag in an empty apartment, they showed up and they brought me a couch and some kitchen stuff and a light, so I could have a light in the apartment. There wasn't even a light in that apartment. And they helped organize and get together a whole bunch more people that helped me get a bed and a kitchen table and a TV stand and a dresser and all the basic things that you take for granted. But when you have nothing, that can save your life. So I was so grateful to Warriors Next Adventure. I said, well, what do you guys do? I've never heard of you guys really. And they said, well, we do recreational therapy for vets. So things like mountain climbing, things like hiking, things like racing cars, things like going to a wolf den and nursing wolves, all these different little adventures they do. I said, cool. What can I do to help? So I started just showing up to help. And we were at a Fort Snelling we went to, and we did a flag planting to go plant flags on Memorial Day at a bunch of these different little gravestones, like 1,000 of them. And I believe it was there that I met Josh. No, that's a lie. I think I met him once before. Warriors Next Adventure had a booth set up. I can't remember where. It was some sort of festival, something like that. And I sat there at the booth with Josh, and I got to know him for a couple hours. Flag planting came later. But so I met Josh at a booth, just volunteering for Warriors Next Adventure. And he seemed like a really genuine guy. And I could tell pretty quick that what he did in the military was impressive, right? A lot of people in the military, nothing against them, but sometimes they didn't, those of us in the military, we didn't all do the same thing, right? We all had very different experiences. And Josh was a guy who had an experience that I could relate a lot to. So we'll just put it that way. So in any event, I invited then Josh out to a thing in the following couple months later, maybe after getting to know him. There was a retreat at a lake in Victoria for another veterans nonprofit group that I was involved with. And he just seemed like somebody who could use a little long weekend of just some fishing, kayaking, relaxing, kind of a weekend 3-day getaway. So I invited him out, and he said yes. And we went out there, and we spent 3 days together on this private lake, just drinking, laughing, have bonfires, kayaking, beach volleyball, just having a hoot, and really got to know each other well. Had some very good bonding time there. And from there, we were pretty much, I considered him a brother. And we would get together maybe every other month, every 2 months or so. We used to get to see each other at a volunteer event, maybe, or at this place called the Warriors Garden, which is kind of the headquarters for Warriors Next Adventure. We had one night we went on we did a speed dating thing. We did not intend to, but a friend of ours needed some support, so we showed up for our friend Nick, who needed some extra males in the room. And me and Josh, it was just a laugh because we were not the kind of guys to go do speed dating, but we had a blast with it because we had each other, and it was kind of a neat experience. So anyhow, along this way, I got sober, right? In December of 2024, I got sober. And Josh was never, I mean, he was the kind of guy who could have a beer. You know, he'd go out on a Friday night and have a beer, one beer. For Dad, one beer isn't a thing. I don't know how to do one beer. I can do 6 beers. I can do 6 beers really well. But so Josh, he didn't have the same relationship with alcohol that I did. But when I got sober, then in December of 2024, I started this spiritual journey where I started suddenly reading the Bible and praying every day. And Josh, ever since he was a kid, he was very close to Jesus. Great religious foundation, great spiritual foundation. Jesus is a big part of his life. And he's the kind of guy when you get to know him, he's not very loud and outspoken. He's very humble, but he carries himself with this quiet confidence and this integrity, and it's just second to none. And it was clear to me that he's got some magic in him. And I came as I read the Bible, and I did things like go on that 4-day retreat with the Jesuits for that silent retreat, and I started growing closer to an understanding of God, and God became more and more a part of my daily life. And I still don't know and understand God, but I try every day. And along this way, every month or so, I'll get a chance to have a phone call with Josh, even when he moved back here to Carolina, to be back closer to his family and where he met this girl he's about to marry today. Along the way, I'd have a call with him every month or so, and we would talk for an hour and a half, go by real quick. And we kind of catch up on where we're at. He'd tell me about this girl named Gwen who we met, and she's pretty special. And I was, whoa, Josh, that's insane. You're almost 40 years old. We didn't think that, getting married or meeting a girl was in the cards for you, because at 40, you start thinking, you're half your life's over, basically. But he met this girl, who just unbelievable. He'd never met anybody like her in his life. And I would compare notes with him about kind of where I was at in my Bible studies. And we would talk for an hour. And he would help compare notes with me so much. I would have questions for him. Hey, Josh, I just read this part. What do you make of this? Or, hey, Josh, what do you think of that? And he would challenge me a lot as well and ask me questions and give me food for thought. So this whole past, it's funny, this past, coming up on a year now since he's been back in Carolina. And in that time, meeting this girl, getting engaged, now getting married, I've probably felt closer to him than when he was 20 miles away in St. Paul. And it's definitely, absolutely, without a doubt, that bonding over our faith, over God, over Christ, that has been exceptional. So I truly hope that you kids get a chance to meet Josh at some point. And you may know him by that point as Josh and Gwen, because it's no longer Josh, it's now we. And I have the absolute honor and privilege of, within about 5 hours here, probably 6 hours, of standing next to him as he gets married and makes that lifelong commitment. And I'm just so thrilled for him that he found his person. So blessed to have him in my life. And yeah, that's Josh. Kids, I hope at some point your dad can have just 1% of the spiritual fitness that Josh has and demonstrates on a daily basis. And I hope and pray you get the chance to meet him. So anyhow, this is a long video today, but my friend Josh Turner, he's worth every second of it. I love you, kids. We'll talk soon.